Hello everybody, welcome back. Let's have a look at FET.ai, or FET as we all know it, and try and think about what's possible, because we've got a very nice setup, a very good chart. We've got an Ichimoku Cloud conversion baseline cross on a weekly here, which would suggest continuation on the long term, and I'm prepared to hold my FET until I suppose cycle high. But there would be a couple of reasons why I might consider selling it, and it's not because I don't believe it'll go higher, it's just because my entry was so low, and it would be rude not to take profit, especially if we get to specific levels which are overheated on the money flow index, RSI, and so on. And the reason I'm saying this is that normally, and it is the case that this signal here, when we got a blue across the red, conversion baseline cross above the cloud and the cheeky span above price action, this would suggest continuation until proven otherwise, which would mean that a negative cross between the blue and the red, or the cheeky span to touch the candle bodies. But excuse me, because we all know that crypto is pretty volatile on weeklies, even though this is a great setup that we've got here on weeklies, there's a lot of things that could take place. In fact, we all know that there's a lot can take place in a day, never mind a week, and it would take, because this is such a lagging indicator anyway, and it's a very good one, like it's very good, but because it's such a lagging indicator on a weekly chart, there might be other ways to try and find out how to get the top. And it would be based on other indicators. So normally when you get a signal like this, especially on a daily, I would leave it, and this is how I played the original trend when I took half my profit. So got in when we got the signal down here at well, I mean, you have to really zoom in and take it to the log scale and get rid of this Bollinger Band. But this is an example of how to use the Ichimoku Cloud, right? And this is what I was saying on the Patreon. I said this is a good setup, good signal. This is the sort of thing that we look for, and we'll wait and see how this one plays out. So you've got a blue across the red over here above the cloud, followed by a golden cross, in fact, and then we basically enter in at an appropriate level. So it would have been around here. So my entry was about 5.5 cents, and this sailed all the way up until we got a cheeky spend touch the price action, or we got the negative cross over here. Now obviously this is lagging, so you don't get the absolute top. This is a 26 period behind signal, so we think about where did this touch, where was the price action 26 periods. Okay, so we were looking at about 56, 57 at its low, and potentially at its high, or if we waited the next few days, we're talking about 68, close to 70. So over a 10x from the entry point, based upon the entry point and the exit point. And then the exit point was a very good one, obviously. I took half the profit there and let the rest ride all the way down, and the rest is obviously still riding all the way back up. Now on the daily we don't have a signal like that on Fetch, but what we do have is a weekly signal, which would mean weekly continuation. So it doesn't mean that it's going to go up 10x from here. It doesn't mean it's going to go up 2x. It's just a signal, right? It's just a signal. It doesn't dictate how high it's likely to go. Although usually I would expect it to go, do a decent move. But the reason I'm so overcautious of the weeklies, even though they are excellent signals, is that historically, and we'll just have a look at some of these other charts where we have similar signals, right? And we'll see how they've behaved. A good example is the EOS one, right? So EOS had a weekly conversion baseline crossover here, right? So I was buying into the accumulation zone around here, and then it pumped, and then it dumped, and then when I reflected on the chart, I saw this, and I picked more up around here, because this is a great signal. The signal played out very, very well, all the way up from that signal here. We'll measure it from this candle body at the bottom here, which essentially would have been roughly the entry point, all the way up to the top wick. That was a 333% move for EOS, right? And EOS is often known as a bit of a lagger, aka top cap shitcoin, really. But the signal yielded a very nice move. It's just a 328% move in a small space of time as well, in a very small space of time. So just from candle body to candle body, 200% in 70 days. From wick to wick, 77 days, 330%. But the problem is that we didn't, because this dumped so fast and furious, because the market dumped fast and furious, it didn't give us any opportunity to get out based on the normal Ichimoku Cloud strategy, right? There's a few things we could have looked at. We could have looked at the money flow index based on the weekly. We found ourselves a peak over here at 86, which isn't particularly high, but in EOS's lifespan, on this chart especially, that's the highest we've ever got. So in a way that was a warning signal, and we could bring it to a daily, and we could see how high we were on the daily at the time, and see if there was any warning signs around that level. Excuse me. Not particularly. not particularly. So in that respect, it was, it was a great entry point, but the exit point was not given because it's such a lagging indicator that maybe we should think about another exit strategy for some of these excellent signals, right? MATIC is the closest thing to FET that I can think of, really. They both came out at the same time. They're both Binance IEOs. They're both now on Coinbase. They have a certain amount of similarities, although MATIC's use case is I suppose probably a bit more established and valuable, causing it to moon so hard. But this can also show us how high a money flow index can go on a weekly, and especially all the way up to 99.6, which is so high. I mean, and that was just over at these levels here. That would normally say get out to me, and probably should have, really. But I let it ride. But my target was always around $1 for the MATIC that I did hold. But we had a Ichimoku Cloud conversion baseline around this level, all right, around the between the 30-cent zone, really, and so we got our signal here. But when did we get the exit point? We got the exit point here. This is where the exit point took place. So entry point here, exit point here. So if we think about what that would be, let's just say it was about 28 cent, and the exit point, will measure it to the top of the candle body. So there was a 264% move. Now there was a lot of price action in between this zone. From there to there, that was an 850% move. But if you would have chosen to use it strictly on the Ichimoku Cloud weekly signal, you would have lost. Not lost. You'd still be up. You'd still be up 200 and some percent. Which isn't bad. But you would have missed out on a lot of gains because the indicator is so lagging. Now this is this is the exit point here, which is unfortunate because the uptrend continued thereafter. So we've got a good entry point. The exit point should have been determined in another way. We have a very high money flow index read on the weekly. So to be honest with you, even from over here, it would be you were dancing with the devil. You're on borrowed time, and I suppose this is the what FOMO can look like, and good press, I suppose. Social media, viral press. So what I'm trying to put across here is that we have a great signal here. This could mean a very large move and a continued move from here to who knows where, right? Who knows where? Yesterday on the live stream we were playing around with fibs, and this is one way that you could think about. You could entertain the idea of doing a fib extension, and this would lead us all the way up to these significant highs, which again, I suppose isn't massively high from where you are at right now, but for me, being in at 5.5 cent is very high. It's just another 170%. But from my original entry point, which is literally all the way down, well, I'll just measure it from here to here. There's a very nice move. It's 3,743%. Am I going to wait for it to get up here? I couldn't tell you. I'm going to base it around our money flow index on the weekly, which at the moment is getting quite high. Historically, the highest we've been is 94, which I suppose is just a little short of where I would entertain it. Definitely getting out of the majority of my position. But as we've seen on MATIC, when things move and they go parabolic, and I suppose. It goes kind of viral. Buy FET this, FET that, FET this, FET. Maybe FET partners with Microsoft or something along those lines. The TA doesn't really become relevant at that point. Things can get so overheated. But waiting for the exit point on something that gets overheated, especially on a weekly, might be to your detriment. So a long story short, really, is that this chart is looking good. It does have a great signal, and it would suggest continuation. But not without some significant pump and dump situation. So I'm going to leave my FET to run because obviously I'm in at such a low level. I'd be very surprised to see it come down to that level. I'm not saying it won't come down there again. One day there will be a bear market, and altcoins notoriously do get completely wrecked in bear markets. But I will leave mine to ride. But as soon as that money flow index starts to peak above, we'll call it 94, because that's more or less where it reached before, I might start taking some profit, do the old 25% with every pump, and take it out. But overall, this is a very nice looking chart on a weekly and on a daily. and you know, we are edging closer and closer towards the end of a cycle, and the end of the cycle generally ends up with parabolic overvalued tokens, and this could easily be one of them because it is on Coinbase and it's widely available. And the chart has its integrity. I've never really seen or felt that FET, FetchAI have tried to pump this themselves. One of the reasons the chart has been so good to us is because it's given us very organic signals, and so we have to respect the fact that the chart is telling us that it wants to go up, and not tweets and all that kind of nonsense that can come along with other projects and other tokens. So long story short, it is good, but let's be realistic. Where's it going to go? How high can it go? It's relatively extended now. Could easily get more extended than this. We could be looking at a $2, $3 maybe. But that would definitely push it into the overextended territory, and don't rely on the Ichimoku Cloud to tell us to get out of a trade, because crypto is such a volatile beast that by the time it tells you to get out, just as we saw on MATIC, you may have sacrificed a lot of your gains. Like I say, I'm not your financial advisor. This is my interpretation based on those two charts. We've seen MATIC, we've seen EOS, we've seen how they've behaved. We've got great signals on weeklies, but exit points really cheated us out of significant gains. Smaller term time frames, like a daily for instance, can be taken a lot more seriously, because even though a daily is lagging, as we saw on FET itself, we still yielded a 10x from the entry point to the exit point. But weeklies are a different ball game, especially with cryptocurrency. If we were playing, stocks or maybe even commodities in general, a weekly conversion baseline cross of that nature would be still a very good signal. But with something like FET or any kind of altcoin really, there is it's not as I wouldn't say reliable, but you should employ different profit-taking strategies, I suppose, when trying to play the Ichimoku Cloud based on a weekly entry signal. Right, so that was a nice big ramble, and I hope you have a nice day, and take it easy.